Sexual abuse, victim mentality, and spirituality. So, part 2. So, I've already done a part 1, this is part 2. And I thought that I did that video, I felt a sense of a calm, which was missing since 3 4 days because I was trying to find all the courage to talk something like this on my channel, you know. And once I did that, I felt a sense of calm, though some part of me was very anxious, that oh god, people would have seen it, oh god, what would have they would be thinking about me. And one part is like what they would be thinking about me, I mean, I still could not, I don't know, I feel so ashamed and guilt for something that happened to me, and by doing this video, it feels so healed, I feel so healed as if, it's, I feel like there's nothing, like it's not my mistake, it just feels like that, हम सच में किसी सोसाइटी में रहते हैं जहाँ पर विक्टिम को ब्लेम करना इज़ ईजी। जब निर्भया कांड हुआ था तो लोगों ने यही बोला था कि ये रात में क्या कर रही थी, वाई was she out at night in the dark, it is bound to happen like that। या फिर किसी के साथ कुछ सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट होता है, अब्यूज़ होता है, तो पीपल आर लाइक she must be wearing some short dress or she must be wearing some revealing dress। कोई भी लड़की कोई भी ड्रेस कोई भी इसलिए नहीं पहनता कि कोई उसका रेप करके जाए, कोई उसे सेक्सुअली अब्यूज़ करे या कोई उसे सेक्सुअली असॉल्ट करे, ठीक है। कोई भी ड्रेस इसलिए नहीं पहनता है, कोई भी लड़की इसलिए ड्रेस नहीं पहनती है। ऑफ कोर्स इट्स जस्ट सो मच सेंस, नो वुमेन वांट्स टू गो थ्रू अ सेक्सुअल अब्यूज़ or something as traumatic as a rape। बट हम सोसाइटी में ऐसे रहते हैं जहाँ पे हमें ब्लेम करा जाता है। जब मेरे साथ भी इंसिडेंट हुआ था तो आई ट्राई टू शेयर इट विद माई टीनेज फ्रेंड। मैंने इसके बारे में फर्स्ट वीडियो में भी बात करी है, बट आई जस्ट वॉन्ट टू टॉक अबाउट इट अगेन। सो मैंने इस इंसिडेंट के बारे में अपनी टीनेज, आई वॉज व्हेन आई ग्रू अप, पहले तो मैंने इसके बारे में किसी को नहीं बताया जो भी हुआ है, मैंने अपने घर में भी नहीं बताया एज अ चाइल्ड ऑल्सो, बिकॉज आई डिडंट नो व्हाट टू डू। So I just, when I grew up, I came into an age and I developed good connections, friendships with my age people. So I tried to tell it to my friend, and I felt comfortable around her, so I tried to tell her, and her also reaction was like that, like, why did it all happen to you, you know you why are you like, why didn't you do something about it? You should have done something about it, and then shouldn't happen to you, you could have done something about it, but you didn't do anything. Her reaction was like that, outright insensitive. I more or less felt like she would ask me, what you went through, and I would tell her my feelings, like I felt a sense of a betrayal, when all of this happened, or I would tell my feelings. But she went outright like, why didn't you do something about it? You should have, maybe shouted, you should have done something about it. And she tried to tell me that way. And or she also told me that you are somebody who can be manipulated, maybe that's why it happened to you. You have an innocent look on your face, maybe that's why it happened to you. And yeah, these are the things that I was told. I shared it one more time with somebody else, another friend of mine, and she didn't even believe it. She didn't believe it. I don't know what is happening to people. Like, why are people so insensitive? They are not insensitive. I'll tell you where this insensitivity comes from, because they don't like to feel. Okay, people hate to feel things, especially things of others. They hate to feel it. So they would outright reject it, or they would outright blame you. The victim blaming goes on. So, and I completely get it. They are also my age, and they don't know how to, know something about it or do something about it. I think victim blaming really comes from shaming. Victim blaming comes from a sense of helplessness. Okay, it comes from, you know, they cannot control the devils and demons in our society. So what do? They point out to victim, you know, that victim should wear dresses like that, victim should do like this. But haven't we seen women also in burqa being assaulted? It's time that we try to see the truth. You know, हम बहुत ज़रूरत है हमारी सोसाइटी को, हम एक्यूज़ को पकड़ें और एक्यूज़ को मेंशन करें जिसने किया है। यू नो, हमारी हमारी हम हेल्पलेस फील करते हैं, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि हम विक्टिम को ब्लेम करना स्टार्ट करते हैं, बट हमारी सोसाइटी है रिवर्स है। सो मेरे दिमाग में तो ये ट्रॉमा पड़ गया कि इट हैपन टू मी बिकॉज इट इज़ ईजी टू मैनिपुलेट मी। यू नो, मैं ऑलरेडी पावरलेसनेस महसूस करी उस सिचुएशन में, बट ऑल माई लाइफ आई कैरीड आउट दैट पावरलेसनेस। मैंने हमेशा ही महसूस किया कि यू नो, इवन इन फ्रेंडशिप्स, रिलेशनशिप्स, वट एवर इट विल बी, I will be the one who will be manipulated, and I won't be able to do anything about it because it is how I am. You know, I am somebody who can be manipulated. I am somebody who can, you know, feel powerless easily. So I will be tricked always. And trust me, it's just so opposite to who I am. I'm so much of a feeler, I'm so much of a spiritual being that I can see through people. But I never believed myself. I always disbelieved my own powers. You know, I thought that I am somebody less. I can always be manipulated. So we live in a world जहाँ पे victims को ही पकड़ा जाता है और उनको ही बोला जाता है because they feel so helpless. उनको नहीं पता कि क्या करें, तो क्या करो, victims को ही पकड़ो और उनको ही सुना दो. But I don't know, it's just, yeah, I always thought that I am the one who can be manipulated all the time. So I just took a screenshot. I went to a website. I was just trying to Google it, like why victim blaming happens and everything. And I was just trying to, you know, Google it, and I just found a few screenshots. So I just want to narrate it over here. One reason people blame a victim is to distance themselves from an unpleasant occurrence and thereby confirm their own invulnerability to the risk. ठीक है, तो उनको लगता है कि इसके साथ हुआ है लेकिन मेरे साथ नहीं होगा, है ना, इसके साथ इसलिए हुआ है क्योंकि शी इज़ ईजी टू मैनिपुलेट, मेरे साथ ऐसा नहीं होगी, मैं तो मैनिपुलेट नहीं हो सकती ना. तो समवेयर she might have felt like that, and that's why she did what she did. But it created another trauma in me. I carried that trauma for life. Not for life, I think I'm breaking it in between, and I don't want to carry it anymore. That's why I'm doing this video. So yeah, by labeling or accusing the victim, others can see the victim as different from themselves. ठीक है, वो, you know, people want to completely see it as different. People reassure themselves by thinking, because I am not like her, because I do not do that, this would never happen to me. We need to help people understand that this is not a helpful reaction. This is not at all a helpful reaction. This is so downright insensitive to somebody. When somebody comes to you with, you know, with a sexual abuse, sexual assault, or stuff like that, you need to hear them out. That's the first thing they want to do, okay? Why is it dangerous? Why is victim blaming dangerous? Victim blaming attitudes marginalize the victim, survivor, and make it harder to come forward to report the abuse. तो अब क्या होता है, विक्टिम को ऐसा लगना चाहता है कि सारी गलती उसी की है, मतलब उसके साथ ही हुआ, किसी और के साथ ये नहीं हुआ, उसके साथ हुआ है. तो अब उसे क्या करना चाहिए, अब ये उसकी गलती बन गई है, ठीक है, ये कहना कि उसकी गलती है, तो अब वो जाके रिपोर्ट नहीं करेगा अब्यूज़, क्योंकि उसे कहीं ना कहीं उसके दिमाग में पड़ गया कि उसकी गलती है. मैंने भी यही सोचा, you know, all my life, that I can be manipulated, and that's why it shouldn't, you know, that's why this all can happen to me, okay? If the survivor knows that your society blames her for the abuse, she will not feel safe or comfortable. Yeah, she will not feel safe and comfortable to talk about it. Victim blaming attitudes also reinforce that the abuser has been saying all along that it is not the victim's fault this is happening. ये सारी victim की गलती है जो भी हो रहा है, ठीक है. तो आई थिंक दिस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि मैं इस बारे में बात करूँ. आई वेंट थ्रू दिस ट्रॉमा ऑफ माइंड एंड माई हार्ट, माई माइंड इज़ लाइक क्यों बताना है, सबको पता चल जाएगा कि मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ है. ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग होंगे बिहाइंड द स्क्रीन जो मुझे ऑलरेडी रियल लाइफ में जानते हैं, तो वो भी जान लेंगे, फिर क्या होगा. बट माई हार्ट इज़ लाइक क्यों छुपाना है, क्या तेरी क्या गलती है, तेरी एक स्टोरी है, बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं जिसमें मैंने बात करी है, तो इस बारे में मैं बात क्यों नहीं करूँगी. मेरी गलती क्या है, कहीं ना कहीं मैं महसूस करती हूँ कि मेरी गलती है आज भी समवेयर. दैट इज़ वाई मुझे शायद माई हार्ट इज़ लाइक बीटिंग लाइक राइट नाउ कि यू हैव टू डू दिस वीडियो, यू हैव टू मेक अ सेकेंड वीडियो ऑल्सो एंड टेल पीपल हाउ इट इज़, because you need to speak your own truth. How people will take it as their headache, it is not yours, but you need to speak your own truth. There might be people behind the screens who might need to hear something like this. There might be people behind the screen who would think just something else. So I also, when I made the first video, there's somebody who cares and who said to me that you should not say all this on a video screen, or you should not say this on your channel, because this is your marriageable age, and you might not get the good rishtas and all of that. But that is what I'm trying to do away in this video, that this is not my fault. Why would not somebody marry me, because it is my fault that I am a that I was sexually abused? And why would I marry somebody who would think like that? The person said it out of concern, I get it, but our concerns are also, since we are sleepwalking, our concerns are also like that. We are so programmed to believe that it is victim's fault, that it is I don't know why we live in a society where victims feel very shameful and guilty to talk about what has happened to them. What is wrong with us? Why do we live in such a society? Like, why a society is like that? I don't get it. I don't get the whole point of it. Yeah. So I thought, let me narrate the whole incident. That's how they will know, my whole story. That's how they will know the gravity and depth of my situation, what has happened with me, So yeah. Okay, so yeah. So for me, there are 3 incidents in my life, of sexual abuse, that kind of that happened in like different time zones, in completely different situations, and with completely different people. So there are 3 situations of sexual abuse in my life, and yeah. I know somebody told me, why you kept attracting all these things in your life, and I hate to even hear that. I just so much take it on my, like, maybe I was given these situations, maybe that universe was trying to tell me that you can save yourself. I always felt like I cannot save myself, I can be easily manipulated. I always thought that. I lived with that trauma for like many years. Even I always, even for me, getting into a relationship, was something like a big thing for me, because I always thought, the people who, people could betray me, and it's easy to betray me always. So yeah. So yeah, there were these 3 incidents that happened with me, and of sexual assault, of sexual abuse. And so I would like to discuss, in quite a depth, because how will people know what has really happened, if I don't really talk about my own truth, and doing this will also release me from the feeling of shame and guilt, towards myself, because I don't know why I have that shame and guilt of being a victim. I don't know why does that come from, but I do have. So I think I will be released from it by talking about it. So I know I want to do this. My heart knows I want to do this. My mind is like, why tell people? But my heart is like, why not tell people? So in these two extremes, I'm here making this video. So the first incident that really happened with me was when I was in my first grade. Okay, um, um, so the person who abused me was a teenager. Okay. So he must be in, I don't know, 9th, 10th, 11th, something like this. I don't know exactly, but yeah. So we used to travel in the same school van, and yeah, I think he was just a curious teenager, somebody who hasn't told him what really sex is or something like that, and he was just curious and he thought that, you know, so things happened what happened, and that was like the betrayal of, I felt like I was betrayed by life. I felt I was betrayed, in a situation. I could just so much feel his intentions. They were not right. But he was trying to put it in a way, he was very manipulative with me. He was trying to put it in a way, but I knew that his intentions are not right, you know, and uh, and I could just always sense it. But he was trying to put a mask, and things happened that happened. So yeah, I felt a betrayal of. That was my first betrayal. I think from there on, a seed dropped into me like God does not exist. Yeah, and I kind of, of course, with when I shared it with people started thinking, why you? And I also started questioning myself, why me, because there's something wrong with me. It's so healing to do this video. I can't even tell anybody how healing this is to do this video. It is so healing to tell my own truth. It is so healing, because yeah, I don't have to feel the shame and guilt of being a victim. Then second incident really happened when I was in a bus. So I was with my uncle and aunt. We were traveling in a bus. It was dark. So it was not even evening. It was like little beyond evening. And we were traveling in a bus, and there were like, bus was quite an empty stuff and stuff like that. And there were these few shady people out there, you know. And I don't know about my uncle and aunt, but I could just sense it so much. Sometimes being an empath, somebody who sees through you, somebody who feels too much, it's such a curse and a blessing at times. Curse because you can feel demons also, you can feel negative intentions also, and blessing because you can feel God also. So it was more or less like I felt so. I knew those shady people, they had something in their mind going on, and I could just feel it, and I just knew I am in trouble or something like that. I could just feel it, and I looked, so I looked through their eyes, and I could just not find a soul. They were like anti-souls or something. They were just bodies. They did not have a soul inside. I've never met somebody who did not have a soul inside. They were somebody. So they were drunk, maybe drugs or whatever. I don't know. I never saw. I could not sense a soul inside them. They was so negative, and it bring me to another level of feelings, and I got numb. So I am little different than people, and I never accepted this, that I am different than people. But I am different than people. It took me a little while to understand I'm different than people. If I would have accepted it before now that I'm different than people, then it would have been easy for me to live my life, to survive, and to even find my own ways. But it's only very later that I realize that I'm different than people. So I am a feeler. I am so much of a feeler. I can feel things, I can feel people. So in my first incident of sexual abuse also, I went numb because of course I didn't know what to do. I was so much betrayed. In the second incident, somehow the incident dissolved. The second incident that dissolved, somehow a few stuff happened, but ultimately it just dissolved, and it was just pure luck. No, it was God, I feel. I don't know, it was pure luck, God, I don't know what, but it was dissolved. It was dissolved and nothing major happened. But, I turned back and I looked at their faces and I knew some opportunity. They had missed some opportunity. And I could just feel it. They were very shady people, very shady people. Something very wrong would have happened. Something could have gone so wrong. Yeah. So from there on, I knew that world is full of bad people. From there on, I knew world is full of bad people. From there on, I exaggerated it and put start to thinking about everyone like that. Like, world is a bad people. Only your family members are the one who are good, who can take care. Only your family members are the one. It's just so difficult for me to trust after that, on anyone. Then third incident happened in my own home, my tuition teacher. Can you imagine? My own home and my tuition teacher. And so my first incident happened was in first grade. Second incident happened when maybe I was in fourth or fifth. Second incident happened when I was maybe in sixth or seventh. So yeah, I was little, young, and yeah. And he tried to touch me inappropriately. My tuition teacher, of course, this time I spoke when he left. When he left, I spoke about it to my mother, and then she called out and sorry for the interruption. So yeah, I was talking about my third incident. So yeah, he touched me inappropriately. I told my mom, and then my mom called him out, like, no need to come here and all of this stuff. And we said of mom said a few stuff, and just we were done away with it. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So the very first thing that happens with somebody who has been sexually abused, the very first thing that happens, is you are betrayed. एंड स्पेशली एज अ चाइल्ड जब आपके साथ ये होता है ना, तो सबसे पहले आपको बिट्रेयल फील होता है, बिकॉज यू आर नॉट, अभी आप फेमिलर नहीं हो वर्ल्ड के साथ, आप बहुत छोटे हो, टू गेट टू फेमिलर विद द वर्ल्ड दैट टू सून. So the very first thing that happens is you feel a sense of betrayal by life, and you feel a sense of betrayal by God. Okay, so somewhere these incidents made me think that God didn't existed, somewhere. And I needed a few people to tell me that maybe God doesn't exist, and yes, I believe that. I was very much a devoted girl, when I was small. And yeah, I believed in God and stuff like that. I always believed in something more than me. But when these incidents happened, it was a sense of betrayal that got into me. The fear got into me, and the trust was out. I started really thinking that God didn't existed. But then, of course, I had a lot of questions, and of course, spirituality had given me those answers for it. So the very first thing that happens with you is betrayal. Second thing that happens with you is that you start to see, sex in a distorted manner. When these things happen with you, you start to see sex in a distorted manner. So yeah, I always felt a lot of questions around this topic, but of course I didn't know who to turn to or what are the more sensible, sources to know about it. I had to really read books and everything to really heal the air around me, how I saw sex and everything. So yeah, I tend to talk about it because I feel when East will normalize it, people will sensibly talk about sex, because sex is something that happens behind every closed door, but nobody is willing to talk about it. It is something so devilish and guilt. And why do people do it? If it is so devilish and people feel so guilty around it, why people do it? I don't get it. Why they carry so much guilty energy, you know, and they feel so shame around it. I don't get it. You do it behind the doors and you feel like that, and it is so, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, so I started to question the distorted concepts of, I started to have some distorted concepts of sex. So I had to read good books. I had to, see some sensible authors and writers talking about it, who were so mature and who were so much in their truth, and they were talking about it. And I don't know what it is like. I don't know. It's just so. So third thing is like, yeah, the very third thing was spirituality that really helped me heal it. It was really spirituality that helped me heal it. Okay, it was, I could, आत्मज्ञान होना, अपना ज्ञान होना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. स्पिरिचुअलिटी का मतलब क्या है? अपना ज्ञान होना. कहते हैं आपको अपना ज्ञान हो जाता है तो आपको भगवान का ज्ञान हो जाता है. तो पहले मुझे अपने अंदर जाना पड़ा, मुझे देखना पड़ा कि मैं अपने आप को कैसे देख रही हूँ. मैं why do I feel the way do I feel? I had so many questions. And मैं सच बोलूँ, मेरे लिए स्पिरिचुअलिटी ऐसा था कि माई लाइफ डिपेंडेड ऑन इट. कुछ लोगों के लिए ऐसा होता है ना कि वो बस क्यूरियस होते हैं अराउंड द टॉपिक, या फिर उनको बस जानना है भगवान क्या है, ये यूनिवर्स क्या है. बट मेरे लिए आई फेल्ट दिस वर्ल्ड इज़ सो अनसेफ. आई रियली फेल्ट दैट. I still do feel it to many extent, that the world is an unsafe place. And for me, spirituality has always been like my life depended on it. Okay, I don't know, if I don't do this, or if I don't find my answers, if I don't escape this, how will I go about life. People have told me all sorts of things around me. People have told me that wait till you turn 60, then you do the spirituality. It has never come that easy for me. Okay, it has not like that. I had so many questions around this topic. I had so many questions like, why me? I got my answers for spirituality. It's like, you chose this life. My answer that I got was, I chose this life. See, कहते हैं कि हर कोई अपना बर्थ कॉन्शियसली चूज़ नहीं करता है, ठीक है, बट कुछ लोग कॉन्शियसली चूज़ करते हैं, ठीक है. तो कभी ना कभी आपने कोई ना कोई चॉइस तो मेक करी है, ठीक है. अब बाद में वो अनकॉन्शियस हो गई हो, हु नोज़, ठीक है. तो मेरे को नहीं पता है, मेरी मतलब मुझे पता है जो भी है, बट इट इज़ नॉट फॉर यू टू नो, फॉर एनी वन टू नो. बट वी ऑल चूज़ लाइफ. Okay, for example, somebody was born into, let's say, a cow. Somebody is born into the life of cows, let's say. So she has her own cycle. She goes through her own things. Like sometimes she's exploited, for milk and stuff like that. She's made to go away from her, calf or own children. So somebody is born into, the yoni of a dog. It has its own problems, it has its own things. So I chose a human life, and these things are bound to happen. It's not bound to happen, but these things may happen to you. And another answer that I got for it was like, maybe somewhere in my past life or something, I felt like a victim. That is why I started to attract all these victim stuff, where I was the victim, until I really heal it one day, until I really sat with myself, asked these questions, sat with my truth, sat with my pain, and really asked the questions. So yeah, for me, spirituality has always been like my life depended on it. For me, God is always like, I don't know where to go. It's like that. So, yeah. For people, it might be like an easy thing for them, but it was never for me. Yeah. Yeah, so I felt I should come and talk about it, on the video, and I have made a part 1 as well. So, I've talked about a few concepts over there as well. So, you can see video 1 as well, and you can, of course, come to see video 2nd. I'll make a different playlist for both these videos. It feels so good to say what I've said, literally. And trust me, it's like 99% of people out there, when I feel they have very distorted concepts of sex. Literally, they have very distorted concepts of sex because they are not in their own truth, and they don't even want to, they are more of like, who cares? Who cares what is the truth? Who cares? काम चल रहा है ना, चलाते रहो. कभी ना वो वक्त आ जाता है, आज नहीं तो कल, जब काम नहीं चलता है. क्योंकि कब तक काम चलेगा? और जिन लोगों का काम चलना बंद हो जाता है ना पहले ही, वो शायद लकी होते हैं, क्योंकि वो सच का रास्ता फिर पकड़ लेते हैं. So yeah.